Welcome to ExpandAbilities Meets, the podcast where mindset, resilience, and real conversations help shape complete athletes. I'm Alex.
I'm Rob.
Each episode, we dive into the mental side of athletic performance, the stories behind the struggles, and the habits that help athletes grow on and off the field. Thanks for being here. Let's expand our abilities together. Now, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So
Robert, Robert,
Robert, Alex.
yes.
Before we get going,
Okay,
let's check in, man. How you been? What's going on?
man, I'm good. How are you? It's
I'm good, man.
been
And
busy.
I had an interesting weekend. Interesting
Interesting.
weekend.
Why interesting?
Well, I went and visited your wrestling team, man.
Heck
It
yeah,
was
you
a
did.
blast. It was a blast, man.
Yeah, but we got 47 wrestlers right now. If you, that's kind of why my voice is kind of it's a little rocky right now. But uh, dude, Friday, you went all out, man. I don't know if you were breaking more of a sweat on Friday doing practice or just by sitting on Saturday during the tournament. So it
Well,
was, dude, it was so hot in there. You were just dripping.
I know. And like Rella, she said, you're sweating. I'm like, you're right. 'Cause I
You're
was,
like, I need to go change like right
yeah,
away.
I was,
We weren't even there for 30 minutes.
right. I came out of that stuff, man. But guess what, man? Thank you for allowing me to to coach your kids. It was great. I worked them out pretty hard. Hopefully they enjoyed it. Hopefully they take one thing away from what I showed them.
Absolutely, man. No, it was a blast. I hope you can come another time up here because that was it seems like they really enjoyed it. So, I mean, I think I've always appreciated your leadership style, and I think that's something that was really needed, especially for that group of kids.
Sure.
So, but yeah, I mean, so like I know you're way more passionate about wrestling than I am. I get it. I understand. But we both have the same thing, the same purpose, and that is to help kids grow and to
Yeah, but
help them flourish, right?
sure. I mean, talk about passion, man. You are definitely passionate about coaching the offensive line, coaching O line. You
I
know,
always talk about it. Always.
you do. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, here we go. We're talking about O line.
Yeah,
You know
here we
me,
go.
I like to talk about, just like football
Well, yeah,
part of it, but man, I love
position
your
specific.
passion for O line work. I used to be that way, coaching receivers, but since I became a head coach, I kind of spread around, and
Well,
I'm passionate more about play calling. So
s- So that's the thing, and that's something I learned, especially my first year being a head coach this year, is I feel like I need to coach the O line more next year. Like the way I want it, and maybe it's just an inner control freak. I'm not really sure, but
yeah,
you can't have a good football team without a good offensive line. You can't.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I liked going around the ball and going to different position groups, and that's kind of what makes a good coach is you need to be willing. You need to be coachable ultimately because I know next to nothing about certain positions, but
yeah.
I learned and I pretty much coached myself because
Yeah.
just something you got to do, if you're
Right.
put in that situation.
We're all, I evolved and learned different positions and learned, different areas from when began, um, all the way to now. So now I feel very comfortable in any area that I coach. I can learn it. I can make it work. I've seen, a lot of different techniques. I know what techniques work. For be honest with you, for specific plays that I want to run, I know what techniques work and what ones do not work.
Well, that's what makes those sports so special is it is so technique driven. Even wrestling. I mean, yesterday I saw that some of our wrestlers were not following their technique. And so my comment to them was when they won, it's like, oh wow, it's like technique actually works or something like that.
Yeah,
And it's just like because you get in that moment, you get out on that mat or you get out on the field or court or whatever, and it's just your mind goes blank. You know what I'm talking about? Like
yeah.
it's
When you're in the moment, you know everything else can go out the window. However, one thing I try to stress, especially with wrestlers, is I need to get you to the point where you can just feel you can feel your way through a match because you should be able to be blind and be able to wrestle
Well,
because all
it's
you
like scenario
wrestling is
based
a feel.
wrestling. I know you prefer scenario based wrestling in regards to practice, like, hey, we're gonna do you're gonna start with a double leg, you're gonna start with a high C, you're gonna start with a single, I know we did like you have your hands under the pits, not quite in a half Nelson yet, but like you're almost there, like
Yeah.
this is when you're trying to pin someone and then you blow the whistle and they get what 8, 10 seconds and then uh, everything can change. And
Yes.
that's the cool thing with wrestling. Everything can change in a matter of seconds, but there's strategy. It's like what you and I talked about the other day about like um, if it's a good wrestler, you're not going to be able to do certain things. You're not going to be
Right.
able to do a leg cradle on a good wrestler because they're going to know how to
Sure.
get out of it. You know what I mean?
Well, they're not going to put themselves in it. So, right. They're like, oh, this person's trying to do this. Guess what? I'm going to do that.
Well,
Even
yeah,
though in that match Saturday, one person tried a leg cradle. And of course, it was against a wrestler that it was new to the sport. That
I
person
saw
was new
that.
to the sport. So,
Yeah. So they just think they can, it's a cool highlight reel, right?
yeah, that's all it is.
But I mean, like even with football, I mean, if with any sport, if you practice something over and over and over again, repetition, I know with kids especially, they get really, really bored really fast.
Right.
So, I know that was some of the questions we had the past couple of days, like, why are we doing this again, again, again? It's just like if you want to be perfect at something, you have to rep it constantly. And that's something
Yes.
I wish kids understood because even in football, how many times do you run the same play in a practice?
Oh, over and
And
over
over
and
and over.
over until it's
And over.
perfect. And even when it's perfect, well, let me see if you can do it 2 times in a row.
And then there's
And it,
always something to pick. So, like,
yes.
one of the best things I was ever told was from one of my coaches in high school. I believe it was Coach Kropke. Love that guy. He was great. He's to this day one of my, out of 13 years of playing football, probably my favorite coach I've ever had. Just taught me technique from a way that all of us could understand, right? He was one of my offensive line coaches, and he always said you should always have something to say to a player after each rep. So pick one thing. It's really hard. It's like, for example, with O-line, it's really hard to look at 5, 6 players at a time. Pick one, pick something that they did wrong, and then help them improve it in order for them to be better. You
Right.
should never go a play without critiquing at least one thing. And that's
Right.
something that really stuck with me. So I try to stick with it, even if it's simple. It's like, hey, you need to get lower. It seems like I feel like I could just carry recorder in my pocket. It just is get lower and just over and over and over and
Yeah.
over. So
Yeah.
that's something that stuck with me. Was there anything that stuck with you?
Yeah. I mean, one thing, I'll be honest with you, Alex, one thing that you said, choose one thing that you did wrong. And I feel for a student, for a young person who changed that language, we can say, this is one thing that we can do better at instead of telling the person this is what you did wrong. Um, I feel that will give that person more encouragement. Oh, okay, I did it. I just need to improve on this area.
And improve my
But
area. So I guess you're right. Not really the wrong perspective. It's more so, hey, this is a challenged area, right?
yeah, there you go. There you go. Look at you.
Hey, that's
Language.
actually perfect. That brings us into this week's topic. So we're gonna focus on something that is I'm really passionate about. I know it's not Rob's area of specialty, but that's okay. That's what we're here for. Is autism spectrum disorder, or otherwise known as ASD, autism. Everyone's heard of it. Um, so Rob, what do you know about autism? Like when you think of autism, what comes to your mind? Like right away.
Someone very close to me.
Okay.
Someone extremely close to me. This person was diagnosed to be autistic um, when he was around 7, 8 years old. Um, when you look at this person, he appears normal. He doesn't show any physical, he shows some physical attributes of a person that has autism. or that is autistic. However, when he speaks very, as a matter of fact, he only sees things as black and white. To be honest with you, he does not reason. There's no reasoning. You know,
Hmm.
you have to explain the reasoning for it. Then that helps him understand. Okay, this is why it's that. Otherwise, a lot of things are very black and white towards to this person. So yeah, I mean, autism, as we look into it medical wise, yes, it's very new to me. However, living
Personally,
personally is I have this person is close to me for the last 20 something years. I know I do understand it that way.
you understand from a personal level. So like I guess when you talk about these types of behaviors, right? Just the way that they see things differently, does that irritate you? The fact that you can't maybe communicate, the way we're communicating right now because maybe they just don't understand. Like, will that irritate you? How does it make you feel? I know it's very,
Well, I
this is
mean,
not a therapy session, but
right?
I'm
No,
curious to know
hey,
what
how
you
does it make you
think.
feel? It's well,
Tell me about it.
the, what frustrates me is not it's not how I feel. It's challenging, and I'm like, man, I can't imagine how they're feeling. Because it's not about me. It's about I can't imagine how they're feeling,
Yeah.
how their brain is locked in on a street that doesn't have an off ramp. It either goes north or it goes south or it goes east or it goes west. There's no pit stop. There's no nothing like that.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I'm not sure if they answer your question, but how does it make me feel? Um, how I want to understand how they're feel, how that person's feel.
And I feel like it's hard because, just people, I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna say people like us, but just people in general want to know everything, especially about the people that are close to them, right? And
Yeah.
so when you're just stuck in this thought of like confusion, like I'm never going to understand how this person thinks. Something in their brain isn't necessarily off, but it's like what you talked about with your coaching perspective is a challenged area. See, we're connecting
Sure.
it. It's great, right?
Yeah.
It's a challenged area. And so that's something, I mean, I see this every day, every single day. Obviously, like we're in different roles with me being a sped teacher, rec therapist, all that type of thing, all that type of different stuff, but all centered around the disability populations. Um, Autism is everywhere, and everyone exhibits it differently. So, like some of the
Yeah.
behaviors you talked about the person close to you, like those are common themes, like the way they're black, they see black and white is just like, I don't like it's literal, right? Everything's very
Yes.
literal where
Literal to them. Yes.
exactly, like, they don't take it like a joke, like, oh, it's raining cats and dogs right now. And it's like, oh, I don't see any
I
cats.
don't see any cats or dogs. Right.
And it's just
I, I
like
could I could feel the cat or I could feel the dog peeing on my leg. But no, they
it's
can't
warm.
see. Yeah. It's very warm.
And I know, like, to someone who doesn't know anything about autism, this sounds like maybe like, oh, you're making fun of them. Like, no, like, that is literally how they feel. And that's not every single person, it's every person's different. Just like someone without autism, every single person is different, has different attributes, characteristics. But people
Sure.
with autism might have different areas where they maybe have that stronger part, like
Yeah.
s- savants exist. Have you ever heard of that?
No, enlighten me.
A savant is someone diagnosed with autism who knows a lot about one area. So like they could
Oh
be a
yes.
doctor or music, like something like that.
Yeah.
It's not common, but it's there, like, and so
Yeah.
they're so packed, and that's a common thing with autism too, is they're so passionate about like one thing. That one thing could be medicine, could be music, could be trains, could be I know someone who's obsessed with Thomas the Train, and he's older.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Like he has autism,
Yeah.
So it's like It could be anything. And you'll have no clue. It's like,
Yep.
have you ever, you watched The Big Bang Theory, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You know Sheldon Cooper?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's portrayed that he has autism because
Right.
he loves, and he's a savant because he loves science. He also loves trains. So, I mean, I worked with someone once who loves birds, everything about birds. Could tell you literally every single fact there is about birds, made bird books, everything. And I'm like, man, this guy's passion is awesome. Woke up at
Yep.
5 a.m. every day. And I was like, I'm ready to go. Whatever
Yep.
time he went to sleep, he'd be up at 5 a.m. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Like this person I know, he has a specific routine he has to go through every single morning. And
If he doesn't,
if you oh, there's hell to pay, Alex. There's hell to pay if he does if it changes a little bit. Um, However, if you let this person know, hey, this is going to disrupt your routine tomorrow, he can prepare himself for it. So he's okay that way.
that's good. I mean,
Yeah,
it's almost like you just give him some type of warning. Like,
yeah,
hey, this is gonna happen. Like, we have to catch a plane tomorrow at 6 a.m. So your routine is going to either be pushed up or it is going to have to change slightly, right? Like that kind of thing.
yes, yeah,
Right.
definitely.
So,
Let me ask you this though, for you. Why is this topic matter to you? I told you how for
well,
me. What about you, Alex?
Rob, it makes me feel a certain way. No, but um I've always been really passionate about every disability, and autism is unique because there's so many behaviors and characteristics that are associated with it, and none of it is physical. It's all neurological. It's all in the brain. So like there could be ways of showing it physically, such as stimming. And stimming, like the common one is flapping the hands, or
Yeah.
maybe your eyes like go elsewhere and it's really hard to make eye contact. Um, it could be different types of movements, like maybe with your mouth, or you always have to like scratch your nose, or it's kind of like a fidget in a way.
Oh yeah.
It makes them calm. And so those I would say are physical kind of attributes or characteristics, but a lot of it is neurological. And you could have someone with autism, go through everyday life and everything's fine, but you could have another person also with autism who are significantly low functioning. Um, maybe they have they're physical,
Yeah.
maybe they'll hit you, spit on you, kick you, things like that. And honestly, like, and that brings me to like this one person where I worked with who he's one of my favorite people I've ever worked with, and a big reason I got into working in this field. Um, I guess I could say his name. His name was Danny. Um, he he was someone I worked with when I was 18 and 19. So like I was 18, 19 when COVID was like I was about 20 when COVID had happened, right? So it's kind of right during, before type of thing. When I started college, and even so I worked with him. This guy had challenges, right? But his main diagnosis was autism. And he loved Matchbox cars, so it relaxed him. When he was overstimulated, he would have to put on a headband, just for the feeling, the sensory feeling of the softness, and put his head down. And he was medicated. So it was kind of the severity of the autism it was there, right? So we worked together in group settings, but also individual settings. I did respite work with him when COVID started. So him and I would go to the water park, and we would go to get McDonald's. He would have to get the same thing at McDonald's every single time. I believe it was a filet o fish. Um, and so he was something. He was by far to this day, and I worked in inpatient psych, residential psych, and he's still to this day probably the most challenging individual I've ever worked with. Um, but he passed away in 2020, not because of COVID. Um, he was susceptible to seizures, And so he just had one and never woke up, So just lasted a while. I don't know what caused it, but that was hard. That was hard because
How did
I remember getting a call and it was just like he's gone. It was like, man, okay. So
how did that affect you?
it hurt me because like yeah, he had challenges, but like he was a huge reason that I got into I'm here where I am today. And so I always tell people about that story because he meant a lot to me. I worked with him for a few years, not that long, but long enough. And
Yeah,
he trusted me. He worked. There weren't a lot of individuals that he could trust and truly work with. So I was always with him in our groups. Like he couldn't just go with anyone. And so I felt honored, and I still keep in contact with his parents. Because I mean, they even tell me that he loved working with you, and um, even though he was challenging at times, it was rewarding, and it was one of the greatest experiences I could have.
did you know that this could happen uh, at any moment, or was it a surprise?
I was surprised when he passed away. I knew he would have a seizure. He's had them in the past, a lot of times by just like hitting his head on something. Um, and again, it's based on individual, right? So people with autism can have seizures. The severity of the seizure can vary, but it's possible. So I knew he could have a seizure. I didn't think he would die. Um, so that's hard, but the way you take it is, did he have a life worth living? And as a recreational therapist, by my purpose with that is always to make sure the individuals I work with have a purpose. That's what you do. I love to say that physical therapy helps you walk again. Occupational therapy helps you go through everyday life again. Um, but rec therapy helps give you a purpose. So I feel like
Okay.
by the end of his life, he did have a purpose, and I even was told that the end of his life, he was the happiest he's ever been. So
Well, what do you feel is the most understood affect about individuals that have these challenges?
I think it has to do with some of it has to do with attention, um, and like they are focused on one specific thing sometimes. Could be a lack of attention. It could be social skills is probably the major one though.
Yeah,
So they can't read emotions. And that's something I love to do with my students with autism. Is I want to, and that's something we're doing now in our social emotional learning classes is discussing emotions. What do you think emotions look like? Because everyone views emotions differently. The way
sure.
someone views anger could be like screaming, while another person views, angry eyes with eyebrows facing down, right? So everyone has different thoughts on it. So the way the social skills and reading a person is taken, that is I'd say that's the biggest challenge for individuals with autism. So how do you think this could tie into sports? Danny loves sports, loves sports. Something he loved playing basketball, loved bowling, things like that. Sports is so relaxing for people, and I try to push it for everyone, regardless of what they may be diagnosed with.
Right.
In autism, like if they can focus on that, like I can't tell you how many individuals I know with autism who love WWE, who love basketball is the biggest one. That's why basketball is the biggest Special Olympic sport in the country.
Yeah.
So I guess this is your time now that I talked a lot, but
No, no, and I want to actually touch on sports. And this person that was close to me, he wrestled from the time he was 8 until he was 10, 11, 10, 11 years old. He only lost one match in all that time. He would probably wrestle a good 30 matches, 30 to 40 matches each of those years. However, one time on the mat, and he just is when his we really went to get diagnosed really stood out because he could not handle the stimulation of being very challenged because he was never challenged at any of his matches. But this match was he was like being pushed to the limit, and he for him he couldn't understand like, hey, this is not supposed to happen. Usually I'm out there for a couple of periods and the match is over, or even if it goes three periods, I'm very dominant over this match. But this one was going back and forth, and he was being overstimulated, and it really took it to a level where he needed to be diagnosed. And from that point on, he just stopped wrestling because he just said, "Dad, Dad." Yes, it was my son, but but he just like, hey, it's just too much for him, and
But
it was
it really shows that you're there for him.
yeah,
And I guess relationships are always the biggest thing that could be taken with this, right? And when you think of the relationship a coach could have on an individual with autism, I mean, I have a student with autism who runs cross country and he finishes top 10 in every single meet that he's at. Some of which he wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning for because it's on a Saturday and then they have to leave that early. I'm like, dude, first of all, cross country, not my mojo.
yeah,
And B, waking up at 3 a.m. like to run. I mean, that doesn't sound like fun to me. I grew up thinking running is a punishment, but hey, he loves it. He loves
yeah,
it. So I don't know. Every time I see him, like I feel like this guy every single day. I'm just like, hey, what's up? And then he's a huge Bears fan, so I'm just like, and he knows I'm a Lions fan, so we always talk. We always kind of have some fun type of trash talk because he not really, but he's always positive about everything. So I'm always
yeah,
like, oh, the Bears lost, but it's not really going that way right now. So he's all excited. But it's I don't know. I feel like when you find a sport that you're passionate about, regardless of your disability, it's more so like how can you use it to your advantage? I don't know. I see autism as kind of a superpower.
yeah,
So
yeah. It is a superpower for him. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's a superpower for other people too, because for some, it can make you more likable, or at least that's what they think. And so that's it. This guy's popular, who I'm talking about. So it's just like I, everyone's different. Everyone is so different, and with autism, I mean, we're at a point now where one in, I believe, 36 now, at least for boys, are diagnosed with autism. Boys typically are diagnosed more than females. So it's it's something. I mean,
so
that's all I gotta say.
so how can we help coaches and
Uh,
players? And
so I think we help coaches simply by, hey, you're not going to be able to recognize it sometimes because there are some people you might never expect to have autism, but a lot of times it will be disclosed, whether that be by the athlete, student, or the parent. If you're a teacher at the school, you can see if they have an IEP, and it'll be able to tell you right away. Um, but I think kind of recognizing these behaviors. Like there could be depression involved.
right,
There could be focusing on a uh focusing on specific things, right? I'm actually working on a book about a boy named Danny who goes out for the football team. He also has autism. Then I'll do this little pitch. I also have my book, Tommy the Magical Shirt. So you can kind of see him a little bit with the blur. Uh
yeah.
where
I
is it?
see Tommy.
You see Tommy? There it is.
Yeah,
Uh So it's about a boy named Tommy, obviously, who has a magical shirt, or at least he thinks it's magical. Makes him happy. So him and his two pets, Sparky and Clark, Clark the cat. They kind of fight adventures and things like that. But regardless of what happens, he stays optimistic. And so it's about a boy with autism. That's something I really
yeah.
I like to do. But I think finding what like as from a coach's perspective, I mean, what do you think for it?
Well, for them, I feel that growth starts the moment they start stop running from the hard truth of, from individuals with autism, and start walking towards the road truth, which will help them understand the overall challenges that these individuals go through
Yeah.
and how we can turn it into a positive.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, like autism isn't a label. It's just a part of who you are,
Yep.
you know? So like no one has to, autism doesn't represent, some people want autism to represent who they are, you know, and if they are proud of it, which they should be, like I told you, I think of it as a superpower in many ways, then go for it, you know,
Yep.
and it's like if you ever watch Love on the Spectrum, I think it's a great show. It's about a lot of individuals, about I think they're all in their 20s and they have autism. Well, I think one's in their 30s, but they have autism, and so they find love ultimately, and they it's so fun because they're just so truthful and they don't lie. You know, they're just it's funny, but it's because some of them are just like, oh, there we go. See,
There's Hazel.
but no, like the people on that show are just it's just it brings so much joy. Like I shed a tear when I watched the final episode. I'm like, man, like this did it. This did it. But I love that we're capturing these types of moments, you know, and so people can actually share it and people can relate because I know some individuals think that they might be weird or outcasted. So,
Right.
but yeah, I know this was a great episode. Are there any other thoughts, last thoughts you want to make about individuals with autism or ASD as a diagnosis? I mean, we all know they should be involved in sports, right? And
Yeah.
so
Be involved in the sport and just be there for them. Be there for them.
be their
Meet them,
support.
meet them where they're at.
Absolutely. Um, well, this was positive. I really hope that our listeners kind of they think about autism, you know, and especially those if who know someone personal to them, just go up to them and tell them how much you mean to them. Uh, so that is it for this week's episode. We always appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, this is where mindset, resilience, and real conversations help shape the complete athlete. That's ultimately what we're trying to do is shape the complete athlete from mind to body to everything else, right? So next episode, get ready for this one. This one's gonna be fun. Um, it's gonna be ADHD. Oh yeah.
Oh, what'd you say?
See, okay. Attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder.
That's right. That's right.
Robert.
That's right.
Yes, it'll be awesome, as all of these conversations are. But again, I know we talked a little bit about it last week. If you guys know anyone or are interested in joining the show to talk about struggles related to mental health, or if you know if there you know someone close to you and you just want to share a story, we welcome that. So please email us info@expandabilities.com and visit expandabilities.com to view more on how to access our podcast. Again, we're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere where you can access your podcast. We look forward to hearing from you. And that's it for this one. I'm Alex.
I'm Rob.
See you next time. Expand Abilities Meets. Thank you.